Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are exploring something absolutely fascinating. This deeply serene, perfectly structured concept known as soul school. We're going to start right here on the ground with our everyday mental processing, just how any normal 20-something navigates daily life, and then we're zooming way, way out to look at the epic, cosmic journey of the soul itself. Let's get into it. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 5 key stops: the mental architecture, upgrading the operating system, descent into soul school, the crucible of karma, and finally, the glorious return. All right, starting off with section 1, the mental architecture, where we bridge emotion and wisdom. So, how exactly is this mental architecture built? Well, in metaphysical traditions, the mental body acts as this vital bridge between our highly reactive emotional selves and our deeper spiritual wisdom. It turns out, our minds process reality in 5 nested steps. It scales up, starting with concrete thought, which is literally just collecting raw data, like noticing you're sitting in a warm, brightly lit room. Then we naturally hit pattern recognition, where we string those facts into cause and effect sequences. Next up are belief systems, which are those internal paradigms we usually just inherit. From there, abstract reasoning takes the wheel for pure symbolic logic. And finally, the pinnacle, intuitive synthesis. These are those sudden, brilliant flashes of insight where logic just perfectly aligns with inspiration. It's like a mental light bulb going off. Now, a super crucial part of this mental architecture is something called viveka, or the discriminating will. Honestly, think of it as a bouncer for your mind. It stands at the door and distinguishes between eternal truths and temporary ego-driven illusions. It's the gatekeeper, deciding whether a thought, say that sudden urge to just doom scroll for a bunch of negative news, actually deserves your energy, or if it's just static. Moving right along to section 2, upgrading the operating system, taking us from human logic to divine truth. Okay, so once we actually understand our daily cognitive layers, we can look at how the intellect transforms. It goes from a closed loop into this incredibly powerful transceiver for higher intelligence. In these metaphysical frameworks, this ultimate mental software update is known as metanoia. It is a radical renewal. All those destructive thought forms stripped away. The operational center shifts completely away from the ego to a state of crystal clear, divine alignment. You're literally reprogramming your internal paradigms so you start perceiving reality through a lens of abundance rather than fear. Just look at the contrast here. It's pretty wild. On the left, you've got the ego-driven mind. It's totally weighed down by mental density, rigid, obsessive thinking, and honestly, just the empty junk of daily stress. But then, look at the right side, the enlightened mind. This functions as an open, peaceful sanctuary. It's selfless, it's flexible, and it naturally grasps eternal truths. And when your mind reaches this illumined level, it actually develops spiritual senses. It can weigh incoming thoughts to figure out if they're of divine or egoic origin. That's the gift of discernment. It can engage in mental soaking, literally bathing the mind in divine light to get absolute clarity. And here's the coolest part. It can pick up on high-frequency angelic blueprints. The sources describe these as celestial votes of confidence. You know when you start noticing repeating numbers like the 808 frequency? That's it right there, beautifully affirming your intentions for creative and spiritual projects. But all of this brings up a really fascinating question. I mean, if the ultimate goal is this pure, peaceful, illumined state, why on earth would a pure, undifferentiated soul pack this heavy, complex mental backpack to begin with? That brings us to section 3, descent into soul school, the architecture of involution. To answer why we even need that mental body, we've got to zoom way out to the macro level. We're observing the soul's journey outward from pure spirit, entering this vibrant material classroom that we call soul school. Think of it like putting on layers of clothing to go for a hike in the winter. The soul clothes itself in these 4 lower bodies to navigate the incredibly dense frequencies of the physical world. First, it throws on the mental sheath to organize logic and strategy. Second, the emotional sheath to process feelings. Third, the memory body, which acts as a ledger for karmic seeds. And finally, the physical temple, which anchors us right here for physical labor and service. Let's break this down into a normal 20-something's daily routine, turning the metaphysical into something super relatable. Their everyday thought and logic, that's actually the soul's strategy layer. Their feelings, that's the vibe layer. And their actual physical presence acts as an anchor, while their memory serves as this ongoing karmic ledger. Seeing it mapped out like this really shows exactly how our physical temple and our vibe layer are actively serving our much broader mission in soul school. Now, once you officially enter soul school, karma is activated. And here is a crucial point we need to get straight. Karma is absolutely not some kind of cosmic punishment. No way. It is the pedagogy, the teaching method of soul school. It's an impartial, perfectly structured law of energy. It just ensures that every single action returns to the sender solely to help the soul learn, adapt, and refine its wisdom. On the flip side of that, we have dharma. When we actually lock into our unique purpose, our dharma, or our deeper alignment, the universe totally responds. It throws kinetic energy, fated connections, and immense support right at you. You stop struggling against the current, and the natural momentum of the spirit literally carries you forward. All right, moving into section 4, the crucible of karma, where we master the middle journey. So, about halfway through this massive cosmic arc, the soul shifts. It goes from being just a student to stepping into the intense, refining laboratory of the crucible. This is where you step up as a spiritual warrior. Now, notice this concept of the witness layer here. This is huge, a real game changer. It allows you to neutrally observe your lower frequency motivations, like say the urge to throw a pity party, without actually acting on them. You start seeking soul resonance. You find a supportive community of peers, and you actively transmute those old karmic seeds from the inside out. And mastering that crucible leads directly to something called the quickening. It's exactly what it sounds like, a profound urgency. It's a literal gut feeling, this intense, holy urging, telling the soul, hey, you are fully prepared for the final ascent. Your very physical body actually begins vibrating at a higher frequency to prepare for the return. Which brings us to our final stop, section 5, the glorious return, ascending to the causal presence. This is the big one, the conscious inward breath, returning from the dense material plane all the way back to the source. In this graduation phase, you really see how the whole shebang ties together. The karmic ledger, it's completely balanced. The mind's empty junk is entirely replaced by divine truth, perfectly integrating your solar blueprint into your everyday thoughts. Our memory ledger basically levels up from a record of pain into a treasury of spiritual superpowers, what's called a causal body of light. Even the physical nervous system recalibrates itself. At this grounded, incredibly serene stage, the individual develops a radiating aura of mastery. They become what these source texts beautifully refer to as a divine big sister or brother. They aren't running around frantically trying to change the world anymore. Actually, their very presence is the change. Just by being there, they naturally neutralize isolation and emit grace to everyone who is still out there navigating their own soul school. Finally, the soul experiences the mystical marriage. The consciousness merges completely with the universal presence, the electronic body of the I Am. At this point, the soul transitions entirely from doing to being, officially graduating into higher dimensions of service. But here is the most beautiful part. It retains absolutely all of the unique, vibrant wisdom it gained while walking its path on Earth. Which leaves us with this truly profound thought from our sources. The journey out from and return to the Divine Father-Mother is an eternal pulse. It's an endless breath. So, as you go about your day today, reflecting on your own mental architecture and your deeply personal journey through Soul School, I want you to consider this. What is your next step in the endless, beautiful out-breath and in-breath of the universe?